anyway, that's sort of private conversation.
Well, and I mean, I always felt bad for Mom, I guess, as far as
Yeah.
with you and Kobe, but I mean, you never let us kids down as far as, you know, always still providing for us and being a father. Although I have to say there was times in my life I didn't feel like I ever talked enough with you and that I didn't really know you. I think even at the time Mom died, it was kind of like, oh, we're going to visit Dad. Well, how will I talk to Dad? I don't even know how to talk to Dad. I talk to Mom all the time, you know, because even when Lauren and I would come down and visit, lots of times you and Lauren would go off and have your visit, and I'd visit with Mom at home, and we'd play cards together and do things like that. But I remember thinking, oh, you know, I don't even know if I know how to have a conversation with my dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
And so in some ways, it's partly my own reserve. It wasn't just with you, it was with people. I mean, I felt like I wasn't good at talking with anybody, so that was...
I look back and think of how seldom I read to you kids, and you know, I always enjoyed you all. I was too strict a father sometimes, I know that.
I don't think much.
Well,
Maybe a tiny bit. I remember thinking you were strict a little bit, but I don't think overly strict.
well, I used to stop the car and turn around and say, now if you don't sit down and behave yourself, I'm going to pin your ears back.
I don't blame you for doing that. I think that's the parenting that we needed.
When I look at it now, that was a terrible thing to say. You know, if I heard somebody else saying about it, it bothered me now. But and I'm sorry that I was so strict. I was really strict because I always wanted the children to obey me, because I was always afraid. For instance, if you came to the corner and started to go across the street, when I said no, and got hit by a car, it was selfish for me, but I wanted to be able to say stop and know that you would stop. And I guess that was one reason I was strict. I suppose the other reason I was strict was because I was selfish enough to not want a lot of noise around sometimes, and that sort of thing.
But as a parent now too, I understand that too. You know, like I mean.
And the amazing thing is how many kids you have.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. And of course, the older ones looked after the younger ones a lot too. I'm sure you looked after each other a great deal. I think I was more strict with Bob probably than I was with Louise, because Bob had I think Bob tended more to have a bit of a mind of his own, and I can only, but I was strict with Louise too. But I think Doug somehow or another was easier going than Bob, and never. I don't remember being ever being overly strict with Doug, or feeling that I needed to be. Leslie was mellow. You were quiet. and Betty was.
I remember hearing you say once she's the one that gave you gray hair. Yeah. So you said when she was a teenager. I don't know it.
Well, Betty was independent and became independent. Anyway, I look back and I always hope that we had enough fun to make up for the bad areas, because we had some nice memories.
But if you worry about being strict, it's interesting because you sound like you're apologizing for that. And
I
remember, I remember thinking the couple times that I remember coming home late or something, being a little bit scared that I'd be in trouble with my dad. But I don't remember feeling always that like I don't think I ever felt like you were terribly strict or anything. I mean, you were stricter than Mom, but you know, like I never felt like it was a problem. I just thought it was part of the normal parental disciplining. So it wasn't that I thought.
Well, I never beat the tar out of anybody or anything.
No,
I don't think, but
no.